2025 early sleepers right now on FFT Express. What's up? Welcome, Adam Azer, Jamie Eisenberg. Jamie has a list of sleepers for us to consider for the upcoming season. Part one. All right, a lot can change, but let's start with some quarterbacks or however many you have. Give me quarterback sleepers.
So I have a whole list of players here. I'm going to write about sleepers. I always like to do this before free agency and the draft, just to kind of have some fun content-wise, and um, get some thoughts on some of these guys that I think may end up going late. So I was kind of looking at the last draft that we did, which you can see the results on CBSSports.com. So I have 5 quarterbacks here that I think could be drafted late that have still top 12 upside. One of which is your favorite, Trevor Lawrence. But Brock Purdy, Trevor Lawrence, Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Herbert, and Dak Prescott, as we have seen with these guys throughout the course of their careers at times. Some small sample sizes like Lawrence at the end of 2022, I believe it was. Purdy during a good portion of last year and the 2023 campaign. Tua led the NFL in passing in 2023, excuse me. Herbert, we talked about this a little bit on the Full Length episode, and you brought up Dak Prescott 4 times in his career. He's been over 24 fantasy points, but everybody's going to run away from him this year. I think all 5 of these guys are worth taking a flyer on with a late round pick.
You said they have top 5 upside?
10.
Up 10 upside. Okay. Yeah. So how would you rank them? How about that?
I would rank them Purdy, Tua, Herbert, Lawrence, Prescott, depending on what the Cowboys do at receiver.
Wait, Dak's so interesting. What a fall from grace. He was, coming off a great season and a great finish in 2023, and just nothing really went right in 2024. And I was really hoping they would hire a out of the house offensive coordinator instead of just promoting. But yeah, I thought about it while we finished the show that we just did. I mentioned Jared Goff maybe had his best kind of season. Like, how could you see him doing much better? And he averaged 22.9 fantasy points per game. And Jamie, you just mentioned it again. Dak Prescott's been over 24 points 4 times. I mean, is there any justification? Nobody's going to draft Dak ahead of Jared Goff. But if you just look at their careers, you could easily justify it. I don't know what went wrong for Dak last year. It was just wild.
Well, I mean, the offensive line was worse. CeeDee Lamb got off to a slow start. He was such a big part of what his success was the previous year. I mean, Lamb had a historic finish to the 2023 campaign. Jake Ferguson did not score a touchdown all season long, and Brandon Cooks was also hurt to start the season. So it was trying to figure out their second receiving threat. They had no run game to speak of. Not that they had one in 2023 that was dominant, but there's just a lot of things that went wrong for that team. And then Dak gets hurt. So, it was just a struggle across the board. So I do think we forget about the draft we just did. Anthony Richardson went way too soon. He's not going to be around 6 pick. But if you want to say, okay, I'm going to take a chance on an Anthony Richardson, a Cam Ward, a Shadur Sanders, some young quarterback that may pop and hopefully be the next Jane Daniels, or somebody that has sort of this resurgence in the case of Richardson, then Dak's the perfect guy to pair him with, because I still think he could be a 20-point per game guy, even if things are not going necessarily perfect.
And when Dak has struggled in his career, interceptions have really been the thing. Last year, 8 interceptions in 8 games. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 15 interceptions in 12 games. And then he had a huge 2023. So that's something that can change for him. All right, how about running back?
So I have a bunch of guys here. I haven't really pared down the list. It's just kind of throwing some names on paper. But again, looking at the draft we just did, Tyjae Spears, Jerome Ford, Zach Charbonnet, Tank Bigsby, Isaac Orendo, Trey Benson, Jalen Wright, and Kendre Miller. So these are all relatively, for the most part. I was looking at basically the running backs that were taken after round 8 in our draft. The 3 that I'm definitely going to write about, and I hate when this happens because it feels like it's okay. It's just all 3 guys from the same draft class. But Trey Benson, I'm not the most excited about James Conner. Guy's 30 years old. Right now, he's the next man up. Jalen Wright, this was going to be somebody before the Raheem Mostert release, but now he's the next guy up for the Dolphins. We know that when they were at their best 2 years ago, it was the combo of Achane and Mostert. Maybe Jalen Wright, who's got a ton of speed, takes that next step forward. And then Orendo, so I think Orendo will end up being the second guy in San Francisco. We'll see what they do with Elijah Mitchell coming back. We'll see what happens. Jordan Mason is a restricted free agent. But I think Orendo showed enough in his audition after being drafted last year that he'll be the number 2 guy, at least leading a committee. And if something happens to McCaffrey again, you obviously want to have that running back. So Orendo will be the guy, at least for me right now, that I'm trying to target in a lot of drafts, try and trade for in dynasty leagues. Could be the next guy in San Francisco if McCaffrey falters.
Yeah, Ford is really interesting because obviously the Browns need to give somebody those carries, but they just never really cut him loose. He never had more than 12 carries in a game in 2024. Um, what do you think? You think he should be a top 100 pick, Jerome Ford?
It's going to totally come down to what else they do there. I mean, he's not somebody I think that you build your backfield around. I think he's perfect as the complementary guy. Someone that can take 5 to 10 carries, ideally. Someone that could be 2 to 3 catches, ideally. I don't think you want to make him your featured guy. I think he's kind of fallen to that by default. He's done well with it for what he is.
Yeah.
Like you said, I don't think he's certainly not Nick Chubb. He's certainly not, I think even like a Chuba Hubbard, for example. So can he be a flex borderline number 2 running back? I mean, he's basically been that from week 2 of the 2023 campaign to the end of the year. He was at points this year when Chubb was out or struggling. So he's got good fantasy upside based on where his, I think, value will end up. But if he's your lead running back, I think you're in trouble.
Most 60-yard runs over the last 2 seasons. 3 players are tied with 4. Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, and Jerome Ford. All right, we'll take a break here and talk wide receiver sleepers after this. All right, we're back. Jamie, who's on your wide receiver sleeper list?
So again, looking at the wide receivers that were drafted round 8 or later, haven't pared this down yet also, but Jacoby Myers, I don't think he'll be the number 1 receiver there, but if he is, just great value. Darnell Mooney, Josh Downs. Haven't decided yet one of Dontavian Wicks or Romeo Doubs. I know he's your former Valentine, but still could be in a great spot because of the Christian Watson injury. Jordan Whittington and Marvin Mims. Whittington could be in line for a big role with the Rams with Cooper Kupp on his way out the door. And Marvin Mims, when they finally started using him in the last season, was a superstar for the Broncos. So we'll see. I think they're going to add a receiver, but proved to be a little bit more than a gadget guy and certainly has plenty of speed for an offense that can use it.
All right, give me the names one more time.
Jacoby Myers, Darnell Mooney, Josh Downs, Dontavian Wicks and or Romeo Doubs, Jordan Whittington, and Marvin Mims.
Yeah. How good was Mooney last year? He was really good. And he missed week 18, I believe, and London had a huge game, but probably not getting the respect he deserves. 992 yards, 5 touchdowns in 16 games for Darnell Mooney. All right, how about tight end?
So it's funny because I have to do sleepers. I'm doing sleepers breakouts of bus, and so trying to figure out which tight ends and quarterbacks fall into the breakout category. So I'm saving Tucker Kraft for the breakouts.
Okay.
But Dalton Kincaid, I think, will fall to a spot now where it's worth taking a chance on him, more so than last year we were reaching for him. Jake Ferguson, I think we go back to 2023 Jake Ferguson, and he gets great value. This is going to be contingent on what happens with personnel, but Ben Sinnott, I think you've heard me mention him quite a bit throughout the course of draft process last year, and even at times, I think we had a show late in the season who are some guys you could draft that could be good keepers or dynasty picks that could be available. So Ben Sinnott was, hopefully will take over for Zach Ertz if he leaves, and then Isaiah Likely, I think he's worth a late round flyer in redraft leagues just with the hope that he gets a bigger role in Baltimore. So Kincaid, Ferguson, Sinnott, and Likely, and you could throw Zach Ertz on there if he stays with the Commanders.
All right, great stuff. Thank you very much, Jamie Eisenberg. So you're going to write this story shortly for the website?
I'm hoping sleepers will be done today. Breakouts Wednesday, busts on Thursday. We're doing a draft on Tuesday, so that'll kind of factor in as well. Hope you didn't forget about that.
Me? No. Did I say yes to that?
Yeah.
What time's the draft?
About 2 hours.
Bro, you got to send out a calendar invite. I can't do this. I can't remember this stuff. But yes, I'm around. That's Jamie. Wow. That's Jamie. I'm Adam. We'll talk to you tomorrow on FFT Express.